Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is CraftyRia and I'm here to show you how I make recycled Christmas cards. I take Christmas cards that people have sent me or saved for me that have already been used and make them into new cards. I'm going to try to put one of these videos out every week. So if you follow along with me between now and Christmas, you'll have more than 30 cards made, even if you just make one card a week. Today I'm going to make 4 cards. And I'm going to use these 3 cards to make 4 cards. This first card is this really cute snowman. And he's embossed. He's really pretty. And the second card is this one. It's kind of plain. It's a pretty scene, but it is sort of plain, so we're going to dress that one up. And then this card is absolutely adorable. I really love this. It's so cute because the hidden surprise is this inside. So I'm going to make 2 cards out of this one. If you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know that most of the time I use an A2 size card. It's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, folded in half and cut in half. So it measures 4.25 by 5.5. I have a couple of templates that I made that show the size of the card. So when we're looking at other greeting cards, we can see how to see if the image is going to work on this size card. So for example, I can hold this one up to it and I can tell that this image is the perfect size for an A2 size card. And then this one here, I can do the same thing. It's the perfect size. On this template, the outside, the darkest line is the darkest line is the actual size of the card, and then these 2 lines are sizes for matting. So that way you can kind of get an idea if you need it to be a little closer. And then this here, I just cut out an A2 size card out of this, because sometimes it's hard to tell with that. You can then line it up and see what you're going to be cutting off. Not all cards work for an A2 size card. So that's why I made those templates. I have a video that shows you how I came up with these templates, if you're interested in making the templates. Let's get started and make some of these cards. I'll go with the simplest one first, since the card is already very pretty. I don't need to do a lot to it. I will show you what I pulled out of my stash to help us today. I have some Christmas stickers, and I have a card back that I thought I might be able to use that red cardstock for something. And then this is a piece of gold paper that was from junk mail. It was in my stash. And this is kind of a red glistening paper. And then a couple pieces of copper paper. I thought the copper went well with all 3 of the cards. So I have that stuff over to the side and we'll use them as we need them. I also have some bling. I have my box of bling. And I have some glittery ribbons and some Christmas ribbons nearby in case we decide to use those. I'm not exactly sure. I have not really planned these out. So I'll start with this card. And to start with this one, I know I'm going to need to cut all of that red off. So let me get my paper cutter. And I'm going to just start by cutting the back off the card. And then when I have the back cut off, I can either use that red piece or I can use the sentiment for the inside of the card. I'm not sure what I will do with that yet. Probably I'm going to use the sentiment. Now I'll take the front and I will cut the red off. I'm going to cut this bottom piece off first, because that can be used as a border in another project, or maybe one of these projects, I'm not sure. And then I'm going to go in and cut the red off. And then I'll see how much further I need to trim it down. So I'm just doing this one by eyeballing it. And these little pieces I think I will just put in the trash. And when I cut them off, I cut a little bit of the blue part of the card off. That way it's trimmed really nice. So that's what I have, and this is my card back. So let me see, I line it up on here, and I have more white card on each side than I do on the top and the bottom. So I'm going to take a sliver off of this bottom and maybe a sliver off of the top. That way it should even it out side to side and top to bottom. And then I will line it up on here and see. Okay, that's much better. It gives me a more even border around. Now I can leave it like that, or I can add a background to it. And I thought it looked really good on this paper. Let me get some of this stuff out of the way. I thought that paper looked good with his scarf and everything, so I'm going to cut out a mat using this paper. It just makes the cards look a little more professional if you have a mat. And since it's not, I'm trying to think, that side has a little mark on it, and then this top is from where I tore it out of the pad. So I'm going to use this corner as my fresh corner. And I'm going to cut it as a mat, and I'm going to cut it at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That is just 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base. And that gives you just a very fine white mat. If my throat sounds funny, it's because I'm getting over a cold. And I think that gives me enough of a mat around it, just a little bit. Now, if I wanted to be really frugal, I could use a die cutter and cut out some sort of a shape on here and then use the shape for something else. But I'm not going to do that today just to save time. Sometimes I do that. It's kind of nice, especially if you have a really nice piece of specialty paper. And I don't know if it's really frugal or if it's smart. All right. So when I put my mat down, I'm going to line up the bottom left and the top right corner and make sure that they look even. And then I will put this right on here. This takes up almost the whole card, so I don't really have room to put ribbon as a border or anything like that. But I can spruce it up a little bit still. It doesn't need a lot since it's already embossed, and it's very pretty. But I could take my box of bling and see what I have in here. Pull it out over here. This tree has some gold or yellow candles on it. And I'm wondering if I put a little piece of bling for each candle. That might be kind of pretty. You can see how that looks. And I think I'll just do that. I go around, I stick the piece on. This is self-adhesive bling. I get this from AliExpress. And it's only about 65 cents or so, 68 cents maybe, for a whole sheet of this bling. I've used quite a bit of it, but it's a full sheet. It's very well worth it. It does take a couple weeks to get to you though. So, you know, don't be in a hurry, but you can get it nice and inexpensive. I buy some of this bling also at the Dollar Tree, but it's larger. It's not these little tiny ones. It's the bigger ones. And they're nice as well. I have them in all sorts of colors. So I'll put this right along here. What I do is I just stick it down, stick my fingernail between the two, and then adhere it, and then, you know, pull it off. So there. That little piece I had was exactly enough that I needed for that tree. I don't know if you can see it. And I think you can see how nice and embossed this card is. It looks really pretty. So I'm trying to decide if I want to put some bling on his hat. Maybe he should have a little bit of red bling on his hat. So I'm going to take this red piece and I'm just going to put it on the brim of his hat just to dress him up a little bit. There. And now he has some bling on his hat. And at the bottom here there are two, they're either apples or Christmas ornaments at the bottom. I have this larger bling. This is the larger bling that's from the Dollar Tree. And it's also on a string of adhesive. I think I'm going to just cover up that apple. And make it look like there's bling on the bottom. And I might even put a couple more randomly on the bottom. There. So there's some bling across the bottom. Either you could pretend they're ornaments or apples or whatever. So it's just that easy to recycle a card. You don't need anything special. You can even use scissors and get some double stick tape from the Dollar Tree. Well, there you go. There's one card done. All right. Let's see. Let's go with this card for my second one. And again, I know I'm going to need to cut all of that green and white off. So I'll start by cutting the back of the card off. And I can use that sentiment on the inside. And I'm just cutting barely into that blue border, not very much. As you can see, I'm just taking just a little bit of that blue border off. And then we'll do what we did with the other card. We'll eyeball it on a card base and see what we would have to cut off. And again, we have more on the left and the right than we do in the top and the bottom. I can cut a little sliver off the top and a little sliver off the bottom without really hurting the photo. And these cards are usually already so pretty. Let's let that picture do the work for us. And we don't have to do a whole lot of crafting to make these cards. We already have a really nice picture. There we go. And that one's a bit smaller, which is okay. think I'll leave this out. I'm going to use, I think on this one, I don't think you can see it on camera, but some of the snowflakes are actually gold. I don't know if you can see that. I doubt that's going to show up. But I think it looks pretty good either on this or maybe, I think it looks better on this gold. It matches the snowflakes. So I'm going to cut this gold to big enough to be a mat on this paper. So again, I'm going to cut it at 5 3/8, which is just shy of 5 1/4. And then I will cut it at 4 1/8, which is just shy of 4 1/4. There we go. All right. Now, let's see how this looks on there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's adhere this down first. This paper's thinner, so I'm going to use my finger and hold the top of this down while I put my adhesive down. And then I'm going to go back and add adhesive to the empty spots there where my finger was. This paper's thinner and it needs a little more reinforcement. All right. I'm going to have to move it down a little bit so I can see it better to even it out. Okay, and then we'll put that on there. I think that's kind of pretty. All right. So this card, the house is, and the trees are embossed a little bit. I think you can see that on camera. But the card is kind of plain, really. So I'm going to add some Christmas lights to this house because I just so happen to have this beautiful bling. That's the multicolored bling, and it reminds me of Christmas lights. So I'm going to take this, I'll take a piece off, and it's on a string of adhesive, just like the others. It's on a string of adhesive, just like the others, and it goes on really easy. So I'm going to just follow along with it, and whenever there's a sharp bend, I'm going to break it and go the other way, because it doesn't really go around corners too good. And if you miss a little spot, it's okay, because the background, it's, you know, already drawn on there for you, so that's kind of neat. Okay, there we go. We have the house all lit up for Christmas. I went ahead and added a few extra over there where there weren't any. So that kind of jazzes that card up a little bit. And if I wanted to, I can even add a snowflake in the sky to add some bling up here. See, I have these little snowflakes, and I think I will put one up in that top corner. There we go, and that just adds a little bling up at the top. So we have that card done. That's number 2 out of 4. Then for the last 2 cards, we have this little guy. The problem with this card, when I went to inspect it, I noticed that they put a piece of tape here and they folded the tape over to the inside. I tried to remove the tape and it ripped the card. So I stuck it back down and burnished it really good with my bone folder. You can't really see that the tape's there, and I don't really think it's going to affect the card. So I'm just going to use it anyway because it's so darn cute. So I will cut the cover off at first. And what I think I will do with this is leave a little bit of that green border. I'll see how it looks. And then we've already then have our card matted. Let me see on here. Yeah, I'm going to have to take some of the green border off. I'll try to make it even on all sides. Okay, there we go. I think I will leave that little bit of green border there. And while I have my paper trimmer out, I will cut the other piece. And this one, since the green border is only on 3 sides, I am going to cut it completely off. I had to cut that little seam of the card off. And now I will cut the green border off. I normally use my tonic guillotine cutter, but it's so big to have in frame of the photo, so I've been using this trimmer for videos. Okay, so then I have that for the second card. And you really can't tell that that tape is there. It showed up on the dark green, but it doesn't really show up on the photo. All right, so I have that. And let me see if I want to make a background. If I want to mat this on this. I could, and then it'll look like it's double matted. I think I will do that. All right, I'm going to cut this at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I have one mat, and then I'm going to do the same on this. Cut it down to 4 1/8. By 5 3/8. Okay, so I have 2 mats. There we go. Now I'll move that out of the way. Sometimes it's good to do things assembly line if you're doing more than one of the same thing. And yeah, that looks really good. Okay, perfect. So let's get this put together. We'll put this on the card. Okay, so there we have that card. And I do want to dress it up a little bit. And I happen to have these green trees. And I thought I could just put this green tree kind of right over that other tree. Just like that. And that kind of gives it some dimension. And I don't know if I want, I could put another green tree over here as well. There we go. So we have a couple of trees. And then that card, I can call that done. That's so cute. And then I get another card back. And let's do this one. So I have this. And it has a little bit of extra room on each side. And I don't know how, if I want to cut any off of that, because I'm afraid it might take away from the picture. So I'm not going to cut any off. I'm going to leave it like that. Because we're kind of squeezed in there as it is. Okay. Now I want to decide if I want to, I can make it completely even on the three sides, the top and the left and the right, and I could put bling on the bottom. I have green. That's maybe too, that green is too blue of a green, really. And I have some red bling. That's big. I have a great bling. I'll be right back. Okay. I have this bling that I got from the Dollar Tree, and it is really pretty. I haven't opened it yet. And I don't know if you can tell, it has so many different colors in this. It's almost like a holographic bling, and I think that'll look really good. Oh, that's going to be perfect with this card. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do that. I have to decide if I want that on the bottom or the top. I think I'll go with it on the bottom. It's just kind of the way I work. My adhesive came off of where that tape is, so I'm going to put a little extra. The tape has a very smooth back, and the adhesive did not stick on it very well. So I'm going to line it up so it's even on the three sides. And that'll be enough room on the bottom. It'll look like snow on the ground for me to put this bling. This bling is so pretty, and it goes perfect. It's got little pastel colors in it, and it goes perfect with this card. One of them came off. I'm going to leave that one off and start the next one there. rest of that down for later. All right, there we go. I have some bling at the bottom. And I don't think I'm going to do much more to dress up this card. I think I'm just going to leave it alone. It is so cute. If I wanted to, I can maybe add some stickles up there where that tape is, but I don't think you can really even see it. So I'm not going to worry about it. So there we go. So we made 4 cards out of 3. These 2 cards were out of the same card. And then we made this one and this one. And what I will do for the inside is I will cut those sentiments and mat them on coordinating paper and stick them to the inside of these 2. And the other one, I have this stamp that says, "May all the joys of the season be yours," and I will use that and rubber stamp it on the inside of the other cards. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down at the bottom. Please give me a thumbs up. There'll be more of these videos to follow. And like I said, if you just do 1 a week between now and Christmas, you will have more than 30 cards for Christmas. And that's a pretty awesome number. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Take care and leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. Bye-bye.